Ever wondered how a single idea can just catch fire and completely reshape a community? It can seem like magic, but believe it or not, there's actually a blueprint for it. And today, we're going to walk through that exact blueprint to see how real, lasting change gets made.
Yeah, it's a huge question, right? It almost feels magical when it happens. But the truth is, there's a real structured process behind it all. A way to take that tiny little spark of an idea and turn it into a blazing fire. And that process, well, it's got a name. It's called social mobilization. You can kind of think of it as the engine that drives any collective action, from something small like a neighborhood cleanup all the way to a massive nationwide campaign. It's really how we make that jump from I to we.
Okay, so let's look at the formal definition from our source. What's so cool about this is just how much it covers. See, it's not just about shouting and raising awareness. It's about bringing allies together, making sure the right resources get to the right people, and here's the key part, strengthening the community's own participation.
And this right here, this quote, gets to the absolute heart of the matter. Social mobilization is not about creating a one-time event, a flash in the pan. It's about planting a seed. It's about building something that can grow and sustain itself, something that empowers the community to take charge long after the people who started it have moved on.
So you might be wondering, okay, that sounds great, but how do you actually do it? Well, there's a framework for that, a practical step-by-step guide, basically a blueprint for making change happen. And here they are, the 4 core processes. You can think of these as the 4 pillars that hold up any successful movement. We've got advocacy and communication, community organizing, networking, and finally, monitoring and evaluation. We're going to break down each one, so let's get started.
All right, first up, step 1, advocacy and communication. Because let's be real, a brilliant idea is completely useless if nobody ever hears about it, right? This first step is all about spreading the word, crafting your message, and getting it in front of the right people. Now, advocacy, it's not just about shouting from the rooftops. It's way more strategic than that. It's about taking all your information, all that data, all that passion, and ramming it up into a really persuasive argument. And you're aiming that argument at the people who can actually pull the levers, the leaders, the policymakers, the ones who can make real change happen. So when we talk about communication, it's really a 3-part strategy. First, you got to create that supportive environment. You do that by educating people, making sure they're in the loop. Second, you engage them. You use every channel you can think of, social media, community meetings, whatever it takes. And finally, you get people working together, collaborating, so that the ideas actually turn into action. The whole point is to build this undeniable wave of support.
Okay, so you've got the message out there, but a message is just noise if nobody does anything about it. And that brings us right to step 2, organizing the community. People are listening. Now it's time to bring them together and start building this thing from the ground up.
And the goal here is actually pretty profound. This isn't about some outside group coming in and telling people what to do, not at all. It's about building the community's own ability to get things done. You're empowering them to solve their own problems, to make their own decisions. It's like you're helping them build a muscle that they can use over and over again long into the future. Of course, no community is an island, right? To get real traction, a movement has to look outward. And that's where step 3 comes in, building your network and finding your allies. So who are we talking about here? Who are these allies? Well, they could be pretty much anyone. Think about nonprofits or NGOs, self-help groups, community associations, even religious organizations. The real trick is to find other groups that have similar goals and interests. Because these guys, they often have really deep roots in the community. And importantly, they already have people's trust. They can be a huge help in getting support mobilized fast. Okay, so let's recap. The message is out, the community is organized, your allies are on board, everything's moving. But there's one last super important question you have to ask. Is any of this actually working? And that brings us to our final step, checking your progress. You've got to measure what matters. And I love this slide because it breaks down 2 words that people mix up all the time, monitoring and evaluation. So monitoring, that's your day-to-day check-in. It's about efficiency. It's asking, are we doing things right? Are we on schedule, on budget? It helps you make those little tweaks along the way. But evaluation, that's the big picture. It's about impact. It asks a much tougher question. Are we doing the right things. Is this entire effort actually hitting the mark and achieving what we set out to do? You absolutely need both of these to succeed. And that really brings us full circle, doesn't it? From that first tiny spark of an idea all the way to the final evaluation. Every single step in this framework is designed with one goal. It's not just about starting something. The real goal is to build something that lasts, something that can sustain itself for the long haul.
So, I'll leave you with this question. We've just walked through the blueprint for turning an idea into action. So, what change in your world is just waiting for someone to take that first step?